Welcome to The Real Build. This is Jamila, your host, and we peel back the curtains of the construction industry every Tuesday at 2. Today, we're talking with a local builder who's been around the industry for a long time, dear friend of mine, David Pfuetzner, owner, founder, president of Align West Homes. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And listen to that voice.
I've been told I had a radio voice, but I have no idea.
We'll be here for the next hour, folks. Now, David, I've been a super fan of yours. We've been friends for a few years now as I've made my journey through this industry. And the homes that you create in this community are jaw-dropping. Every time. And your attention to detail and your pride in your construction is, you can't even ignore it when you walk into an Align West home. It's just, it's stunning. It's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
I just want everyone to know that.
Much appreciated.
But let's talk about like your journey and how you got here, because there is not a class in school that says, you know, here's your builder journey. This is how it goes. And so what we like to do here is talk about the business behind construction and how people end up in these jobs and owning these companies. So where did you start?
Well, I like to build stuff. I mean, that's kind of where it started when I was younger.
Okay.
It didn't look quite like it did now. You know, my fences were crooked and, you know, those kind of things. My speaker boxes were not quite square. But anyways, you know, I decided to take on an apprenticeship in carpentry and move to Kelowna from Vancouver.
Okay. How old were you then?
I was not even 19, but just about.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started in April of 1989. So that's how it's...
Summer of 1989.
Yeah, right?
Is there a song about that?
No, summer of 69.
Oh, T. Swift must have an 89 song.
Oh, she might.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how it started. And I just, you know, worked through the years of training, going to school through the Okanagan College here. And got my journeyman in Red Seal in 1993 and continued on in a company here building and setting up prefab homes, actually is how it kind of started.
Okay. That was popular here.
It was quite popular, actually, is when I first met Peter Raja of Norelco.
Wow.
Yeah, that's way back.
He's been around forever, too, then.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
That's when I first met him. He was working for another company doing the same thing.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I just naturally got into supervisory roles through that process and worked for that company for about 13 years.
Okay.
And wanted to spread the wings into bigger things, bigger companies, bigger developments, managing more jobs. Now, with that, of course, came stress and everything else, right? But learned a ton during that time. Yeah.
And so, like, I just want to prefab homes. When you say that, just for the listeners that may not know, this is when a home is built in a factory, like in a controlled environment, put on a truck, sent to the location. The location, you need to prep that location for what the needs are of this home that's coming, whether that be foundation, roughing and plumbing, roughing in your electrical, so you're connected to your services. And then it's placed down, and then you connect everything to once it's there. And then there's some details inside the home that you need to finish off as well.
So there's actually a couple different levels when you're talking prefab or pre-built versus pre-manufactured.
Okay.
So pre-manufactured is more, you know, assemble the whole house, a bit like Chaparral or SRI or whatever I think it's called.
Yeah.
And you actually transport the home in divided sections and then kind of plug it together, so to speak, like when you're talking. So that's kind of the upper level or our highest level of pre-manufactured.
And you see that a lot today.
You're starting to. It's hard on the in the Okanagan because of landscape. It's very popular back in Alberta and in the prairies where you can transport whole homes, basically.
Flat land,
right?
is what he's talking about. Flat land's easy, yeah.
Here we built it in pre-framed the walls in sections so you can assemble them all like parts and pieces of a puzzle. So it's all sent on a truck, but comes in prefab sections, almost like you're just framing walls and then putting them up in sections and then putting the whole package together. So it's more the elementary side of prefabbed, but it is in a controlled building when
Yeah.
you're building them, and then shipping them on a truck when the foundation's ready. So you're time saving,
Yes.
with that. So
We're also seeing a lot of that happening these
more
days.
so, and it's
too.
very popular. You'll see that happening all the time on condos or multi-story units or 6-story houses.
We did that on the condo building.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's basically prefabbing in a sense, right?
Okay.
Or pre-building sections of walls, and that's kind of where we were sending stuff up north, we were sending stuff down south into the States, we were sending things all over.
And this would happen in different areas. One, because there might not be a ton of skilled carpenters
Correct.
in the area, and having the walls pre-done and ready to go, and then lifting, you don't need as many skilled people on the site to put it together.
Access to quality materials too, right?
Quality,
because,
yes.
you might be able to get concrete out there into those locations, maybe self-mix it if you had to for foundation, but to get sheeting and lumber and 2x6s and 2x10s, 12s,
And
all
this
of that
is
stuff is hard.
BC in the 90s, right? Like really
Exactly.
nothing outside of Vancouver, nothing was really quite developed quite yet, right?
No, not nearly the way it is now.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry, you said you did that for 11 years.
13 years.
13
Yeah.
years.
Then I got into more, developer builder style of building where I worked for a company called Acorn Communities. And
They're still around
yeah,
here.
they're still around. They ended up, building like Sunset Ranch and Morningside and up in McKinley. I mean, they've been all over the place. I became a partner in that company where I actually started learning more of the business side of and became general manager.
Okay, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I did that for 10 years. And I probably built a couple hundred homes, turned over a couple hundred doors during that time for
Wow.
sure. I learned a lot about customer relationship satisfactions, just even the business side of it from a legal, and took a bunch of courses at that time and elevated and became a registered housing professional before it was mandated as part of the home warranty, because that was another thing that happened after I started in construction. So I got all the training that I needed to become a registered housing professional and got certified in Built Green and did a lot of those things during that tenure of 10 years.
So this would have been the OOs. Is that what we call it?
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, the OOs. The OO. That would have been from 2002 to 2013, roughly 2003 to 2013.
Those were some great and not great construction
Yeah,
years.
there was some great construction years until around just after in the States in 2007 when the big crash came. In 2008 we saw it here in Canada.
Yeah.
And the bottom fell out. Really, everybody was there wasn't much going on at that point. We all had to get our tool belts on, so to speak, and take a pay cut and start building whatever we could.
The cushy desk job, cushy management desk job.
100%.
Everyone was on the tools.
Yeah, we didn't stay in the office then at that point. We had to, it was survival.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And where in that time, where were you guys at Sunset Ranch? Where were you guys at that time?
Yeah, Sunset Ranch primarily.
Yeah.
We were finishing up some stuff in Shannon Lake and in Morningside at that time, but mostly, it was mostly Sunset Ranch that we were working full time.
And and so if we dive into the business of development and construction companies, when you're able to be a developer and construction company combined and purchase a large piece of land like that and start building it out slowly yourself, that is how you secure long-term work.
100%.
Yeah. Despite there might be ups and downs, you would have owned the land for a long time and the land would have gone a long way. So your land values are low and you can swing in your price a little bit to adjust with market changes.
There's definitely some absorption allowance in that.
Yeah. Versus starting as a home builder and not having land and going out and searching for that customer that's going to build and building the house. So that's kind of two different ways.
It's completely two different platforms in a sense for company operations, right? One requires certainly more cash output in the beginning to buy the land.
Yeah.
But then you're more in a sense kind of mass producing homes in a sense. Like, I mean, they still customize it, but you're trying to do a development and you're trying to build out and sell. You're still doing pre-sales, of course, and that's very important for business. But when you're a custom home builder specific, yes, then you're depending on people to call you to build on a lot they purchased or on land that they want to develop potentially. Yeah.
Well, we've got a lot of good knowledge to pull out of you today. We are going to take a small break, but we are going to dive more into that business behind construction, your transition from Acorn Homes and starting Align West Homes when we come back.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to The Real Build. This is Jamila, your host, and I am here with David Pfuetzner, president, founder, and owner of Align West Homes. We have been talking about the business behind construction in the Okanagan Valley, and we are super lucky to be sitting here with someone who is not one, not two, but over 3 decades of construction and building in this area in the Okanagan Valley, gone through the ups and downs, seen all the cycles, and he's sitting here cool as a cucumber.
Don't let looks fool you. No.
Well, we were talking before the break about when you were a partner with Acorn Homes and working up in Shannon Lake in that community. And
Morningside and then Sunset.
Yeah. And how the difference between when you own a construction company / development company and you have the investors and you take the plunge in buying that big piece of land. So now you're securing that work for your company going forward versus not buying the land and you're searching for that customer that wants to build a house and servicing them. So really two very different approaches. Both have risks and advantages to them, obviously, and overhead and reasons why you can't sleep at night and reasons why you can spend the winters in Mexico too.
Yeah, risk and reward.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk, obviously at some point there was something that happened that made you want to go on your own. Was that always kind of the plan? Like your partner's in a company right now. So yeah.
A great question. I think I always wanted to own my own company.
Yeah.
Now, being a partner in one was certainly an honor and a privilege because not only did I get invited to be there, I earned my spot in that company and worked very, very hard for them for 10 years and felt like I contributed to my own professional development as well as, the development of that company and its elevation of its construction industry or its construction practices even. And then mentoring those under me who now have bought out what I owned in it. So they're continuing right now to this day running Acorn Communities, and now I'm not there. Now I was a minor shareholder comparatively to the others, but I had a major role in the success of that company. So yeah, going back to what was it that changed? I think I always wanted to do more custom style of homes and have a little bit more boutique style rather than like you say, going into a secured land position and building, between side-by-side duplexes and single-family homes. And there is an element of customization to it, but it wasn't nearly, I would say, and it's not because Greg Bird might even be listening to this one day, or whatever, but nothing to do with what that platform was. It was a very, very good thing, but fulfillment within, I felt I needed to expand and do something on my own.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. There was this little niggling inside me that said, no, you need to expand where you really thrive, and that is, drawing up plans. And I'm still old school when it comes out. I still hire the guys that are really proficient in computers.
But are you hand drawing plans?
But I do a lot of hand drawing sketches, and
wow.
in fact, a lot of the plans that we build are start from my inception.
Okay.
And then I work very closely with designers to get it to that point.
I love chatting with people who worked in the real estate industry, whether it's realtors, builders, construction, everything pre-internet.
Yeah.
Because, the internet's really new, and you get a chance to sit and be like, how do you make these drawings? I saw a set of hand-drawn drawings for a condo building one time, and I was just blown away.
Yeah.
Blown away.
Well, that would be an incredible feat. The amount of vellum and trace paper you have to lay over every single floor.
Yeah.
It's not like you can just switch a screen. So yeah, transferring all that up on the multiple pages. Yeah. So obviously single family homes is much easier. It's still a lot of detail, but I did that, and so yeah, building more customized homes and having that personal touch to it was something I really, really wanted to explore. But then I had to get out of more of that mainstream, and if you want to call it secured environment of having land and homes and people coming to your show home in a sense to build, right? So,
and let's just dive in a little bit deeper into the difference of what you're talking about. So a lot of people think, I want to do a custom home. And then they're like, okay, this is the paint color I want. This is the countertop I want. This is the cabinets I want. That's a lot of what you're talking about. That's a bit more spec building. You've got a frame to a house or a design to a house, this many bedrooms. Maybe you move a closet. Maybe you shift a wall. This is what you're talking about at Acorn Homes when you're mass producing a floor plan.
Basically, yeah.
And you change the colors on the outside. You change the colors on the inside. And a lot of times the consumer identifies that as custom homes, and that is a real easy path.
Yeah, that's an easy path.
Yeah,
sure.
and it's probably meant for a lot of people because when you are talking custom, you're talking a blank piece of paper and a raw piece of land.
Exactly.
And depending on the elevations and curvature of the land, if it's a pre-produced pad, if it's still got trees on it, these all need to be taken into consideration when you start designing your layouts.
Yeah.
And where your toilet's going to be, where there's so much more you have to identify prior to even getting close to picking your paint color.
Yeah.
And there's so much planning that goes into that.
There's a lot. There's a lot of planning. And I mean, yes, if we're in a subdivision, so part of our plan is to become, like preferred builders in different subdivisions, and that's kind of our way of, maybe if you want to call it securing, however, from an opportunity from land cost, it's not quite as feasible as buying a raw piece of land years ago, like 10 years ago, whatever, and developing it and then seeing some benefit from return on that investment. So you're buying land at more or less retail and then building a house on it. But yeah, we build show homes, and sometimes we might start a spec, but very seldom. It's mostly custom. So you're limited to lot sizes in a predetermined development, obviously. But then when you get into open scale, like agricultural land that people are wanting to build their dream home on this acreage that's been in the family for hundreds of years or something, then it's all about, well, where's the sun coming up? And like, how can I maximize my views? And I want to wake up in the morning and see this, and so on and so forth. So everything starts to become a vision. And that vision can only be, you have to start on paper. You have to start with more of the science behind, direction and, whatever, right? North, south, east, west, and then windows and maximum exposure. And then, I haven't even touched on the energy efficiency side of things, because that's another thing that you want to take into consideration when building a custom home, especially these days.
Yeah, this is new. This is all code added into BC recently.
It is. Yeah. And there's advantages to having that sort of, we call it in the industry the IDP, the integrated design process, and it's an actual official term that they use in the technical research or in the technical committee, and also for code. And then you're consulting with everyone. And then, what furnace should I have? What performance would I have? And you're modeling the house. And it's like, so aside from the actual custom choices, there's that aspect of it too.
And I want to talk to that a little bit because, even when I started in project management and new home, custom home construction, which was only 8 years ago, and it was prior to step code being introduced, you wanted your details on your plan, and you wanted to know pretty specifically what people wanted, where the sinks went, where the toilets went, But you could do an electrical walkthrough at framing and, shift a 2x4 over, or add some backing here and, shift something over slightly and adjust your cabinet plans and make sure it gets executed. Now, with step code, energy efficiency is all about a sealed box, right? Controlling the air temperature of what's inside the sealed box. So we're trying to make them as sealed as possible. But you have to bring in water, bring in power, and take out poop. And so those are penetrations, and then there's some ventilation and other things like that. And so what we want to do now is limit all these penetrations, seal them up as much as we can, And so nowadays, if you're like, oh, I just want to shift this over here a little bit, and we're like, okay, well, we'll just push another hole in the wall and move the pipe over and then put some Tyvek over top of it. That doesn't fly anymore. So
yeah, no, it creates a different system. I mean, you can do that.
Yeah.
But you can't just, by adding windows. I mean, there's spatial separations between houses. There's there's also energy efficiency modeling that if your house is reaching a step 4 or has to reach step 3 minimum anyways these days.
Yeah.
You can't do something to the house that might reduce that performance. Otherwise, it'll cost you to make up for it somewhere else.
And making a window a foot bigger can 100% do that.
It might just bring you just a little, maybe, I mean, that's extreme, but it can bring you under that, if you're just making it.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, well, now I have to take my, furnace and I have to up the efficiency, or I have to add now triple pane windows in this area, or whatever it might be. All of those are modeling things that happen in the design process.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're designing a custom home these days, you're going to want someone who really understands this, is going to guide you to making these decisions efficiently and quickly, and helps you end up with the vision you want, even though you may not be able to see it. They can see it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to talk more about that when we come back after the break. Welcome back to The Real Build. This is Jamila, your host, and today I have the pleasure of sitting down with David Pfuetzner, president and founder of Align West Homes. We have been talking about his journey through construction over 30 years, 3 decades in the Okanagan Valley. He has seen many cycles up and down. He has worked on large projects that mass produce a similar product. He has found a passion in custom home design. And for every good reason, we haven't let you know yet, but he sits on the technical research committee for the Central Okanagan, the Canadian Home Builders Association. He is a past president. And I don't know if you've picked up on it in the last half of the show, but very technical, very well-spoken, likes to be educated in his space. So I'm thankful as a builder in this area that he spends his time on this committee to help with the technical side, because building homes have never gotten more technical than it has ever been. We have been touching on this new integrated design process that is coming. It's going to be the future of building homes because BC wants energy efficiency. We have the best code, the best energy efficiencies across the country right now in BC, and we are in a process. We are quickly layering on top of it to hit essentially passive homes, and all new construction going that direction. So I'm working on an integrated design process right now on a multifamily, on a fourplex project. And this is my first run at getting the energy advisor, which we only started using energy advisors 3 or 4 years ago, who's really now directing off the top, where are plumbing stacks going to go? How many windows and do they open? And your wall assembly and your where's insulation inside, outside of the home? It's a whole new game out there. And what happens, we were just talking actually during the break, and I said, no, we got to stop. We got to talk about this on air. What happens is typically, you go in as a homeowner, I'm going to get my plans designed. And it's been a hard road for the industry to convince you to have your builder involved when getting your plans designed. Because a lot of people think, I got to design my plans, then I'm going to go shop for a builder. Mm-hmm. Well, that's going to be impossible. Your builder's definitely going to need to be involved. Your energy advisor is going to need to be involved. Your plumbing company is going to need to be involved. Your electrical company, your roofing manufacturer, your exterior company is going to need to be involved right off the top in the design process before you have something to ask for a price from. Mm-hmm. And what we were talking about, and we'll continue talking about, is so then how do you tender this out to multiple people after you've had this done? And I come from a place where I have trades I've worked with. I've been super lucky. I've had trades I've worked with for 8 years. And I know what I'm going to get from them. And it's not just one in every category. You got multiples in every category that are good for different types of build and different types of construction. And I know the quality I'm going to get. I find our pricing is pretty consistent across the board. We're a small town with a certain amount of trades to work with and suppliers to work with, right? And so I have more confidence as a builder that's providing the home warranty that I'm working with the team that I've built together. All these different companies become your teammates, right? They communicate with each other.
Absolutely.
They understand. They've been involved from the design. It's a better way to build.
It is 100% better way to build, and I'm on side with you on having trades that you've developed relationships with and rely on, and they've been consistent with their service. It's not just always about a price. I think I think the world in general, the consumer thinks that, oh well, if it's a better price, it's got to be a better deal, or a better company or whatever, right? It's all about saving money. Whereas the approach is more. There's way more to it, like way more to building a house than just getting a good price for your trades.
Yeah.
If you can get kind of the best of both worlds, and you know that you're getting a good price with great service and great quality, because like you said, we have to warranty these homes. We're actually one of the few industries, maybe even the only industry, that has to warranty a home for up to 10 years. Like, I mean, think about that. You know, so there's a lot on the line here when you're building a house. Well, any structure for that matter. So, when you want to choose a builder, you can't just choose a builder on price, number one.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, he's completely reputable and he comes in and you love him and it's great and he's competitive. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
You're not going to just automatically sign a check for a ton of money. But it's all about what you said, the process before. That integrated design process is not just, yes, there's a government mandate to try to get everything together, get your energy advisor, get this home working as a whole, as a total unit. There's also the other aspect of it. When the builder is involved in the beginning, you're getting his practical feedback, his or hers, sorry.
Thank you.
Practical feedback about how that build is going to cost, because we know if you want to change something, that's going to be roughly this amount of money, right? You go to a plan designer, first of all, a lot of them aren't necessarily up to snuff on all of the technological.
And they don't need to be. It's not their
Not
their
necessarily,
role,
although they
right?
do have to put stuff into the plans
Yes.
for to what step roughly, just almost not cut and paste. I shouldn't say that, but in a sense. But when it comes to actually creating a budget for this plan, you need to know ahead of time before you get to, because I get plans all the time. Then it's like, okay, well, what's your budget? Well, I don't know, like what's it going to cost? I said, well, I mean, we haven't even gone through pricing this yet. So when we do, they're like, oh, well, that's way over my budget. I said, well, you didn't consult with a builder first, or at least alongside a builder. We have a different system. We encourage a complete design build process. In other words, you select a builder, then we'll take care of getting the plans and the designer in. We'll get a plan, do a plan for you on the lot that you buy, even work with you on preliminary before you close on the lot, so you know exactly what you have to do to get there. And then we can create a budget for you and a plan to where you want to go with the step code.
And if you are investing in a custom home, that is what you do. Like 8 years of building custom homes. Anytime I had someone design plans and come to me and be like, you're one of 3 people I'm getting a price from, make sure you sharpen your pencil. Like, I know that person is not in the mindset of where you need to be to really build a custom home and do it well, and end up with a great product at the end. That I think is more so someone of the mindset of going into an Acorn Homes and picking from one of the 3 floor plans and choosing your paint color, and that is more set for that.
More simplistic.
And you're gonna pay a bit less for that because you got repetition of mass production, and so on. So it's 2 completely different things, and that's something really when you're going out to the market to do this to think about when you're investing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have to come in expecting. I think the relationship with the builder is first and foremost. And that's what I think should help you determine who you want to go with. I mean, obviously there's reputation. You see their homes. They're all great. There's so many great builders, believe me. There are. There's awesome builders. I mean, there's...
Especially in this city.
100%.
Yeah.
And I could recommend like a dozen of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, when you sit across from a client in an interview, I want that client to feel like I can look after them and that I have the technical knowledge to help them build a custom home, and not even just build it, create it. Like I always say, I don't just build a home, I create. And that is going to be really, really important for a client's decision, and then getting to that eventual step code.
So we got to wrap this up for the break, but I got one more question.
Sure.
When you hear this, my brother's a plumber.
Oh boy.
Maybe we'll answer that after the break.
Okay.
All right. So when you come back, we're going to keep talking with David Pfuetzner, president and founder of Align West Homes. We're going to talk about if you want to bring in a friend because they have a trade into a build, and what some things of that. And also, he loves to give back to this community. He's got an amazing event coming up for the BC Children's Hospital, and we're going to tell you all about it. Welcome back to The Real Build. This is Jamila, your host, and we have been super lucky to talk with David Pfuetzner, the president and founder of Align West Homes. We've been talking this hour with him about a lot of technical work that goes into designing a custom home, the difference between custom home and not spec home, but production housing, and what you might want to do if you were doing either or, some tips or tricks. Before we left here, a question we get a lot when we have a person that comes to us with their plans and wants to build a custom home. My brother's a plumber. My uncle is a painter. We did talk about the importance of the team you create as a home builder. How do you handle that question, and what's your advice there?
Yeah, no, it is a question that gets asked, of course.
Yeah.
And I handle it on a case-by-case basis, to be completely honest with you. When they say their brother's a plumber, and I'm like, okay, like, what does that mean? Like, is he just like, like a weekend warrior plumber? Is he certified? Of course, he has to have a permit. He has to have all that. I mean, going back to selecting trades and people that work with us, 100%. I mean, we want to work with those people because they've been loyal to us and we're loyal to them. But I've actually met some great trades by word of mouth from my client who says, you know what, like, he's actually just a company that's starting out, but he's been working forever in plumbing or whatever, and his company's name is ABC Plumbing and whatever, right? And and I'm like, well, let's have a talk. But he has to be treated the same way as I treat every trade. In other words, I still have to vet him, I still have to warranty him, but I'm happy to look at that and have him quote on the job.
Yeah.
And I don't mind doing that. Because, like I said, I've met some great trades over the years just by someone mentioning their name.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And it's super important to be recycling fresh blood into your trade group. And you're absolutely right. You answered that very politically correct in the sense that it gives you a great opportunity to get introduced to a new trade. But sometimes it can create a disaster. And if you trust that builder, it's important to listen to their instincts on what's going to be best for you, for your build, because that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, I often say to them, I said, you want this home built on time and on budget and all this, right? I said, but by bringing in other trades that either I can't warranty or I said, there's non-negotiables. I can't give you a possession date of a home and then you have your plumber not show up for 3 weeks, you know, because you hired him directly
and it's the only job you're doing with them. So you have no kind of leverage over getting them there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what, you hired your own countertop. Now I can't even finish the house because I can't put the sinks in and I can't do this and I can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't fly with us, right?
Yeah.
So on top of all that, we have to have that conversation about standing behind our product and and warranty it, right?
Well, and like I said at the top of the show, the product you create is jaw-dropping. And the producer over the break said, it sounds like you're fangirling. I am totally fangirling today. So tell me, Align West Homes, like, how did that get started? How'd the name come from? Tell me about your journey.
Oh, yeah. I mean, now this is back in 2013. And I had been definitely dreaming of doing something a little smaller, like not that it was less stress or any of that. I wasn't looking for that specifically. I wanted to change, and that change was wanting to do more boutique building. So in 2013, I gave my notice and sold my shares with Acorn and started up my company called Align West Homes. And it was a rocky start, to be honest. It's not like I had a ton of people lined up to, have a house built or a renovation. So I had to work really, really hard, as they say, pounding the pavement, so to speak, and really, making my presence known both in the Home Builders Association and so on and so forth. So, but I always wanted to do something more than just build. So building a house there's a reward to that for sure. And we create a home, and there's that little bit of the why behind why we do it is because I want to create a place and a space for someone. And that's what we do. And then behind the scenes, I always wanted to do something, and I started up a company, or sort of a shell company, called Build for Good. And that rang through in my head when I started up my company, Align West Homes, because I wanted to do not just build, but when I build, I want to do something good for locally, community, give back. And I always realize it's like giving back doesn't start when you have a ton of money and time to give. I always say it begins in the heart when you actually have little time and money to give, because it really is a heart space to want to do that. So I've always wanted to do that. So starting up Align West Homes facilitated that, and it's been percolating for a lot of years, to be honest. And I've done little bits in here and there and donated time to different organizations or charities in the Valley. But about a year ago, we wanted to do something different. So that's coming up actually really soon. I don't know if you want me to talk about that right now.
I do want you to talk about it. I do. I follow you in social media, and I swear it's the only reason why I know what different give back events are going on in the city, because you are very modest. You participate in a lot of different give back events in the city, but you are hosting. I mean, what I learned about you this year is you're a drummer.
That's true.
Yeah. So, ladies, if you're listening to The Voice, he's also a drummer. But so you've got a passion for music. So let's talk about this event.
Yeah. Well, the event title is called Music for the Mighty, and it's on October 4th. So it's right around the corner here at 7 p.m. at the Revelry downtown on Ellis. It's a new venue that's set up just for mostly music and productions.
Okay.
And BC Children's Hospital was our choice because our very own Jordan Handsome, who's our construction manager, his own daughter actually had a brain tumor when she was 2 years old, survived, and is 11 years old. But he has a special place in his heart for BC Children's Hospital. And he's the guitarist and vocal in the band.
Oh, yes.
So, our band name is Gun Shy. I'm not sure why we're gun shy, but you know what? Hey, it was a name. And we are a group of four guys.
All in the construction industry?
All three of us are. Grant from Calbert Constructions also. He's on bass and vocals. And then we have Jarrett from Ace Marketing. He's on guitar and vocals as well.
Lovely.
And we have some other artists, Michael Daniels and Michelle Tusock, who's also stage name Mila. Both acoustic guitar players, awesome. One's country, one's more folky. They're also singing there that night. And so we put this on, or wanted to put this on, and it became a lot larger than I actually thought it would be to put on. Because
that's what happens.
It was like, oh, let's do a concert, and let's get a band together, and let's raise money for BC Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
When we found out the need, that's the amount of money needed every year just for the social work fund to help families get from Kelowna or anywhere in the interior to Vancouver, to take care of food, to take care of lodging, to take care of transportation costs, all of that stuff is staggering, and it's a real burden for families, to be honest. So this was really close to our heart, and we thought, you know what, we're gonna do a concert. We're gonna raise awareness here, and we're gonna do this. And so last year we decided to. This spring we put the deposit on the venue, and it was like next thing you know, it's like, this is actually happening. So yes, you can buy your tickets on Eventbrite. You can just look up Music for the Mighty. The ticket prices will give you like a drink ticket and food, and of course a great concert, if I can say so myself.
Yes, you can.
It's going to be actually really awesome.
I've heard him play before. It's going to be awesome.
And so and then on top of that, if there's donations during the evening, there's a actual dedicated Music for the Mighty donation link that you can give to get a tax free for your business or for personal. And we want to raise the roof, so to speak, on that.
So I have to share this. Over the last couple of years, in starting my own construction company and building, one of my trades, my team members, it was on the condo building, so it was over 2 years of working together pretty closely.
Mm-hmm.
Their daughter had cancer, and they got to take her to Disneyland for the Make-A-Wish, and she passed away shortly after that.
Sorry.
So
Yeah.
without the BC Children's Hospital, they wouldn't have gotten the time that they did get.
Exactly.
With and having a sick child or losing a child is probably the worst thing.
It's horrific. Yeah.
So music for the mighty.
Yes, and it's a time to not only just raise money and raise awareness and have some sobering moments reflecting, but it is also meant to be a fun evening to get together and celebrate the victories also.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of victories and a lot of children that have made it through as well. And so, but that still means that they still have to travel down to Vancouver to get checked out. They still have to. So it's a great cause, honestly. I'm thrilled and honored and privileged and humbled, all in the same kind of sentence.
I am going to challenge our construction industry out there. If there's any trades listening, anyone who works in the industry, Music for the Mighty, October 4th. Buy your tickets. Let's have a good time.
Yes.
Let's raise money for the BC Children's Hospital.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, David, for being here.
Oh, you're welcome.
I can't wait to see you drum on the 4th.
Oh, the pressure.
Oh, you're going to nail it like a carpenter.
Absolutely. Good one. Ta-dunch.
Okay, well, folks, thanks for hanging in there with us today. Thank you, David, for coming.
And thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.